While the whole world is still fighting the COVID-19 virus, the United States has recently declared war on a new Asian enemy of a different kind, slightly more visible than the coronavirus, but just as dangerous. Indeed, for the past few days, the United States has been on maximum alert because of the invasion of dangerous giant killer insects. Make yourself comfortable and forget about everything that is happening in the rest of the world, because today we are heading to United States. What is this insect that threatens the world's greatest power? How dangerous is it for mankind? Is the situation in the United States really critical right now? Today we will tell you everything about the one that is the new enemy of the Americans. Let's go. The United States is on maximum alert. It's a real tragedy that has fallen on the United States of America. While they are barely able to get their heads above water and fight the current pandemic as best they can, an invasion of giant hornets deadly to humans is taking them by surprise and has recently caused a lot of concern. A situation that one would think to come straight out of the Hollywood studios, but which is unfortunately very real. According to an article in the American Daily New York Times published on May 2, 2020, the United States is now threatened by Vespa mandarinia, more commonly known as the giant Asian hornets. Indeed, 2 specimens were first spotted in Washington state in August and then in November 2019. This discovery lets fear a rapid invasion in the United States but also throughout North America. A beekeeper also testified to the disaster that has occurred on his farm. One day he found thousands of bees lying on the ground, all piled up one on top of the other and beheaded, a carnage that looks very much like the murderous style of the giant Asian hornets. A nest of Mandarinia vespa was even found near the Canadian border. And if this appearance is so disturbing, it is for several reasons, the main one being that these insects possess a deadly venom that causes the death of about 50 people every year in Japan alone. But who is this insect that threatens one of the world's greatest powers? The Asian hornet or yellow-legged hornet is a species of Hymenoptera in the family Vespidae. This species has been introduced by human activity in Europe where it could threaten certain species of native insects. And there are several subspecies, including one, black, Vespa velutina nigrithorax, which is one of the most dangerous and invasive. As its name suggests, the Asian hornet is native to Asia with a vast range in areas with a tropical or continental climate, but recently, the Asian hornet is said to have partially colonized Portugal, Spain, Italy, Germany, Belgium, Great Britain, and the Netherlands. The Asian hornet is the largest of all social insects and the largest hornet species in the world. Queens can measure more than 5 centimeters long and 7.5 centimeters wide. Each one establishes her colony in the spring, from March to early August, which consists of larvae that later become the first workers. A queen can travel tens of kilometers per day and fly up to 30 kilometers per hour. The adult hornet feeds mainly on ripe fruit and nectar. But when it comes to feeding its larvae, it becomes more temperamental and demanding. It captures various insects such as flies, wasps, butterflies, bees, etc. Moreover, to grapple with honey bees, the hornet hovers at the entrance of a hive or patrols over the flowers frequented by these honey producers. Its larger size and large legs allow it to grasp a bee and carry it away with it. It will only keep the insect in its thorax and make a pellet of it that it will take with it to feed the larva of its colony. You will have thus understood it, the Asian hornets are a new factor of the impoverishment of the hives. And if this species is known to attack bees, man is not spared the danger it represents either, because the giant Asian hornet is above all a cold-blooded killer insect. The giant hornet, a murderous insect. Giant Asian hornets are fearsome. Every year, in China or Japan, several dozen people die from a giant hornet sting. Moreover, in China in 2013, about 40 people died after a terrible attack. Its sting injects a powerful venom that is potentially fatal for people with allergies or when individuals are repeatedly stung by several insects at the same time. Once injected into the skin, it would be comparable to burning metal. As for its stinger, it is so robust that it is capable of piercing a beekeeper's outfit. In fact, a Canadian beekeeper and entomologist named Conrad Berube, who was called in to exterminate a beehive on Vancouver Island in Canada, recounted his painful experience when a giant Asian hornet found its way to him. When he was interviewed by the New York Times, he recounted putting on shorts and heavy sweatpants one day, and then over his beekeeper's suit. Before he could reach the nest, he felt the first stab in his leg through all his layers of clothing. Luckily for him, this was not fatal, he was very lucky. However, bees remain the most threatened by the giant hornet. With its powerful mandibles, the giant hornet can easily kill more than 100 bees or decimate an entire colony in just a few minutes. The much smaller bees counterattack by covering the hornets to increase their body temperature and kill them, and other species can even suffocate them outright. But this method of defense is unfortunately insufficient if the bees are faced with tough hornets. The destruction of beehives also represents a great danger for humans. The Asian hornet, accustomed to hunting in groups, could decimate entire populations of bees, which are so essential to the ecosystem. The potential invasion of the Asian hornet in North America is, therefore, a great danger for both bees and humans. Return to the United States. State of maximum alert. While Europeans have become accustomed to dealing with Asian hornets every summer since they have been established in Europe for several years, the United States, for its part, does not yet know these bee killers with their extremely painful stings. Worse still, the species that has burst into their country is an even more dangerous hornet species, the giant Asian hornets. Enough to get a bumblebee. American newspapers, including the New York Times, described the insect as having a fierce face with tear-shaped eyes like Spider-Man, orange and black stripes running down its body like a tiger, and broad, vaporous wings like a dragonfly. This is enough to give you the creeps. American scientists and beekeepers have taken the threat very seriously and have already sounded the alarm in few days. They are all trying to find a way to prevent the Asian hornet from becoming permanently established. Because they know that if the beast ends up settling permanently, it will be impossible to dislodge it. Just like their little cousins who have left their suitcases in Europe and have not left it since. They have even adapted to the new climate, which is very different from the tropical Asian climate. Not a crazy wasp. Primary security measures. So far, Washington state has taken some primary security measures to try to deal with the killer insect. Among other things, it recommends that beekeepers wear heavy-duty coveralls. As for residents, they have been given a very clear instruction to flee as soon as one of them comes across a giant Asian hornet and then call for help. As for bees, scientists are very worried about them since nothing at the moment can protect them from hornets. If their Japanese congeners know how to defend themselves against the giant Asian hornets by sticking to them and many others, the American bees, unfortunately, do not yet have this reflex. The Washington State Department of Agriculture, scientists, and American beekeepers must, therefore, redouble their ingenuity to try to eradicate the phenomenon before the summer, for example by setting up effective traps to limit the impact of these hornets, which are sometimes 5 times bigger than bees. No one in the United States can yet explain how these orange and black-eyed monsters made the journey from Asia to Washington state. U.S. media reports that the giant Asian hornets were first seen in the fall and appear to have emerged from hibernation about a month ago, which must be when the queens began building nests and forming colonies. Unfortunately, this does not bode well for the future. Until the government finds a lasting solution to this new invasion, tracking them seems almost impossible. So, what do you think of this new scourge that is coming to the United States? Do you think the hornets will take hold for good? If so, will the Americans be able to deal with this new disaster? Tell us what you think in the comments.